Hi guys, I'm Maria Drutska and today I will tell you how Russia has secretly placed sensors to spy on British submarines. The US ambassador to Ukraine forgot to mention who launched missiles at Kryvyi Rih, killing Ukrainian children. This morning, Russia bombed Kyiv with ballistic missiles, so we wouldn't forget how much they want peace, while Germany retrieves its gold from the US. Sounds like another ordinary weekend on the global political circus. Russia's new peace strategy, bomb first and negotiate never, continues to puzzle exactly no one. Except perhaps the US ambassador to Ukraine, who is apparently still figuring out where missiles come from. Today is declared a nationwide day of mourning in Ukraine. All regions join in commemorating the victims from Kryvyi Rih. Flags are lowered at administrative buildings and institutions. Let me remind you, the entire country mourns the 18 people killed, including 9 children, victims of Russian missile terrorism. On the evening on April 1st, Russian forces attacked a residential neighborhood in Kryvyi Rih with a cluster Iskander missile. Another person died on the same day from a drone attack. People continue bringing flowers, soft toys, candles, and prayers to a spontaneous memorial at the tragedy site. On the same day, Bridget Brink, US ambassador to Ukraine, posted on X but omitted mentioning whose missile it was. She said horrified to learn tonight a ballistic missile fell near playground and a restaurant in Kryvyi Rih. That's why the war must end. Brink's statement was condemned by President Zelensky. He said, unfortunately, the American embassy's reaction is disappointingly weak. Such a powerful country, such a strong nation, and yet so afraid even to utter the word Russian about the missile that killed children, Zelensky noted, adding that to end this war, one must not be afraid to call things by their true names. Perhaps mentioning Russia by name might trigger some allergy in Washington's diplomatic circles. Today, at 5 a.m., I woke up to Russian ballistic missile strikes on Kyiv and Kyiv region. Honestly, it reminded me vividly of waking up to similar strike at 4:30 a.m. 3 years ago. Well, returning to US ambassador, after President Zelensky critic, she now wrote clearly, as of 6:30, Kyiv and the rest of Ukraine remain under attack by ballistic and cruise missiles from Russia's side. She did say Russia this time, yet it's still intriguing. Missiles coming from Russian side, but exactly from where? Kazakhstan, Mongolia, or perhaps China? Still blaming US ambassador isn't entirely true, because ambassador simply follows instructions from their administration. But then, where exactly are the responsible US government officials? Whose missile was it anyway? Anyone going to state clearly? And by the way, you know what did Washington actually do? They threatened the Kremlin with exactly nothing. I understand Trump was very busy playing golf this weekend, but what about Rubio's earlier statements just before the Kryvyi Rih attack that we will find out quite soon, within weeks, not months, as if Russia is seriously about peace or not? It would be good for peace if the war ended, but obviously we need to test these hypotheses. Still testing? Easter is almost here, guys. April 20 looks like a perfect deadline to see if Russia's peace intentions are sincere. Spoiler, they aren't. American side begins suspecting negotiations about negotiations are simply delaying tactics. Even Trump isn't ready for endless dialogue. Meanwhile, the US president's advisors recommend refraining from calling Putin until the Kremlin agrees to a ceasefire in Ukraine. Decision deadline coming weeks. Maybe the US is simply giving Putin time to find a decent ceasefire agreement buried somewhere in the Siberian snow, because clearly they are not looking for it themselves. Will the US take any real actions? Tell me in the comments, what do you think? Before I continue, I want to thank all of you who send coffees on Buy Me a Coffee and become Patreons. Please do so. If you want more videos on the channel, you can also help this channel by subscribing to it and like this video, because it will definitely help Ukrainian content to be seen by more people, and hopefully more people will hate Russia. I suggest you also subscribe to my X page, where I post regular updates about the situation in Ukraine, and to my Instagram, where I show the daily life in Ukraine. Putin thinks time works on his favor. Prolonging the war, he aims to strengthen his negotiation positions and accelerate frontline advances, according to NBC News. They note Russia deliberately imposed impossible ceasefire conditions on Ukraine, knowing full well they would never be accepted. NATO is certain that there are no signs Russia intends to stop combat operations, reports DW. On the contrary, alliance intelligence is recording increased enemy activity along the entire front line. Analysts believe that this is Russia's attempt to buy time and strengthen its negotiation positions. NATO assesses the battlefield situation as extremely challenging. Russia is expected to further increase pressure on Ukraine's forces, attempting to prolong the conflict to secure better positions in negotiations. Unfortunately, Ukraine still lacks the upper hand. Russia maintains initiative and momentum, exploiting weaknesses within Ukraine's army. A senior NATO official emphasized that there is absolutely no sign the Russians are preparing a ceasefire. We see no evidence that Russia's objectives in this war have changed. NATO also highlights that Ukraine has lost 90% of the territory previously captured in Russia's Kursk region. Ukrainian forces now control fewer than 100 square kilometers there. Russia, meanwhile, has retaken complete control over the city of Sucha, attributed by NATO to numerical superiority. About 70,000 Russian soldiers currently deployed in Kursk region. Moreover, Moscow has engaged North Korean military forces, stationing about 11,000 troops from North Korea in Kursk region. NATO is also aware that 3,500 North Korean soldiers were sent to Russia for training this past winter. Casualties among North Korean troops have been significant, around 5,000 total, including 1,500 dead. NATO predicts Russia will soon fully expel Ukrainian forces from Kursk region. An official added he isn't sure whether the withdrawal from Sucha is related to the US holding the provision of intelligence to Ukraine for 1 week, noting that this interruption significantly impacted Ukraine's defense capabilities. Meanwhile, Germany plans to retrieve its gold from the US, 1,200 tons valued 113 billion euros. Berlin, surprised by Trump's unpredictable policies, now considers the US an unreliable partner, reports Politico. Germany holds the world's second largest gold reserves, with 37% currently stored in the US. These reserves ensure Germany can exchange gold for dollars or another stable currency if necessary. Concerns arose following Trump's unpredictable course, particularly after he announced new trade tariffs on various countries, including EU nation. Increasingly more countries seem to find the US an unreliable partner. In more pleasant weekend news, Ukraine delivered a precise strike on Russia's optical fiber system factory located in Saransk. God knows where it is, but it's almost 700 kilometers from the front line. Further, there are no similar factory in Russia, making its production bottleneck. Second, optical fiber supports internet communications, medical equipment, scientific instruments, measurement systems, and of course, drones immune to electronic warfare. Third, this strike exposed yet another vulnerability in Russia's air defense. The drone faced absolutely no resistance, revealing weaknesses that can be repeatedly exploited. In my previous video, I mentioned Sweden quietly preparing for World War III, and today Britons are advised to assemble a survival kit lasting 72 hours due to threat of Russia's sabotage targeting their energy networks, according to Daily Mail, citing sources from security and intelligence sector. Security advisors warned Russia could sabotage British energy pipelines, leading to potential blackouts. Giving Britain's environmental goals and closure of coal-fired plants, the nation is increasingly dependent on energy imports. Nearly 40% of the UK's gas is imported via Norway's 1,220-kilometer-long land grid pipeline. Fears rose after spotting the Russian reconnaissance ship Yantar in the North Sea, prompting concerns about possible infrastructure attacks. Experts urge British households to prepare survival kits containing water, food, medication, and other essentials. Recently, Baltic Sea cables have been sabotaged, and the Russian vessel Yantar is capable of sabotage operations at depth up to 6,000 meters. The UK remains particularly vulnerable due to dependence on this pipeline, transporting over a third of annual gas consumption. Preceding this, Russian spy sensors were discovered in waters around the UK, intended to monitor Vanguard-class nuclear submarines. According to the Telegraph, some devices washed ashore and were found by the Royal Navy, who assessed them as a national security threat. The Ministry of Defense suspects Russian oligarchs' super yachts may have been involved in data collection. Moscow sought intelligence on 4 ballistic missile submarines, one currently on active nuclear deterrence duty. Russia maintains a specialized submarine fleet reportedly superior to NATO equipment in underwater operations. During its war against Ukraine, the Kremlin increased espionage and sabotage, damaging submarine cables, pipelines, and military infrastructure. Over the past 15 months, at least 11 incidents involving internet cable were recorded in the Baltic Sea. According to Union, in the last 2 years, Russia dramatically ramped up sabotage efforts, pressuring Europe and the US to limit support to Ukraine. Moscow's covert campaign targets underwater cables, warehouses, and railways across Europe. Russian attacks quadrupled between 2022 and 2023, then tripled again from 2023 to 2024. Czech Foreign Minister noted Europe faced around 500 suspicious incidents in 2024 alone, about 100 clearly linked to Russian hybrid attacks, espionage, or influence operations. Well, guys, I'm so sorry about this. All Russian sucks. Let's just make your governments do more active moves, and you guys should start investing more in military productions and defense. Not warning you or anything, but just in case. That's it for today. I want to thank all of you for supporting Ukraine. watching Ukrainian content. Please like this video, and if you really liked it and you want more videos, you can support the channel's development on Patreon or buy me a coffee. The empire will fall. See you soon, and Slava Ukraini!